Their courtship was a whirlwind of stolen moments and whispered promises. Eric, claiming financial hardship, showered her with affection instead of material gifts. He would hold her hand, gaze into her eyes, and whisper sweet nothings that made her feel like the only woman in the world. "You're beautiful, Alice," he'd murmur, his breath warm against her ear. "I can't imagine my life without you." Alice, blinded by love and her own desperate need to be loved, believed him. She didn't question his financial struggles, his inability to contribute to their dates, or the growing list of expenses she found herself covering. She rationalized it all away, convinced that his love was genuine, that he would repay her kindness once he got back on his feet. But as time went on, a subtle shift occurred. Eric's demands grew bolder, his expectations higher. When Alice couldn't keep up, a coldness would creep into his eyes, a distance that sent her spiraling into anxiety and self-doubt. "What's wrong, Eric?" she'd ask, her voice trembling with unshed tears. He'd sigh, a dramatic gesture that tugged at her heartstrings. "It's nothing, Alice. Just things are tough right now." But Alice knew it wasn't nothing. She felt the sting of rejection, the fear that she wasn't enough. And so, she would dig deeper, sacrifice more, just to earn back his love, to prove her worth. The constant turmoil in their relationship began to take its toll. Alice's once pristine uniform started to show signs of neglect, her hair often pulled back in a hasty bun. Her nights were spent chasing Eric's shadows, her days a blur of exhaustion and worry. The cracks in her carefully constructed facade widened, threatening to shatter the fragile peace she had found in the Navy. Alice was still attending tech school, but the strain of her relationship with Eric and the resurfacing trauma were starting to take their toll. Her grades were slipping, her focus fractured, and her once immaculate uniform often bore the marks of sleepless nights and tearful mornings. It was this decline that brought her to the attention of Chief Mixell, a man whose presence cast a long shadow over the tech school. Chief Mixell was a figure of authority, a man who commanded respect and instilled fear in equal measure. He was a large man, his bulk filling the doorway of his office, his eyes cold and calculating. Alice had done her best to avoid him, but her failing grades and recent uniform infractions had made that impossible. The look in his eyes when he summoned her to his office sent a chill down her spine, a chilling echo of the predatory gazes she had known all too well. "Seaman Golden," he barked, his voice a gruff command that brooked no disobedience. "Please take a seat." Alice perched on the edge of the chair, her hands clasped tightly in her lap, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs. "It has come to my attention that you failed yet another uniform inspection," he continued, his voice laced with disapproval. "You also scored a 64% on your last exam. Is there something going on that you'd like to talk about?" Alice swallowed hard, her throat constricting with fear. "No, Chief. I just haven't been sleeping well." He leaned forward, his bulk looming over her, his eyes boring into hers. "Seaman Golden, I don't tolerate excuses. You're here to learn a trade, to serve your country. If you can't handle the pressure, then maybe this isn't the place for you." Alice felt a wave of panic wash over her. She couldn't be kicked out of the Navy. It was her lifeline, her escape from the chaos of her past. She had to find a way to stay. I'll do better, Chief. I promise," he grunted, a sound that conveyed both skepticism and a hint of something darker, something that made Alice's skin crawl. "You better. One more failed test and you're out." Alice left his office feeling shaken and vulnerable. She knew she had to get her act together, but the weight of her problems felt crushing. She was pregnant with Eric's child, a secret she carried like a ticking time bomb. And then there was the phone call that shattered her world.